Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show on this Tuesday evening. I'm Peter Martin. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme. Alan Rough and Gordon Smith are with me here in the studio. There's only two names that we're going to be talking about tonight, Brendan Rodgers and Neil Lennon. Yeah, lots to get our teeth into with this one, and no doubt a major surprise for many Celtic fans as Tuesday morning slowly but surely moved into the afternoon. And if you're getting up this morning, it was Brendan Rodgers heading to Leicester City that certainly caught everyone by surprise. And then it gathered pace, and Neil Lennon now tipped as the interim manager at Celtic. Well, we're live at Celtic Park where our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi has been gauging the mood of the Celtic supporters. What an unbelievable 24 hours, Gabriel.
Yes, Peter. Well, it's been a day of shock here at Celtic Park, of course, with the news that manager Brendan Rodgers, after just over 2.5 years and 7 trophies in a row, is set to leave to become the next manager of Leicester City. And he's at the King Power Stadium now, just finalising the deal with the Leicester hierarchy. And as you mentioned, Neil Lennon, the former Celtic player and manager and Hibernian coach until a month ago, where he left under a cloud with the club in 8th place, is set to be announced as the next manager. Lennon is rumoured to be here just until the end of the season on an interim basis, similar to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer down at Old Trafford. And he is expected to be announced within the next 24 hours. It is a state of quiet at Celtic Park at the moment as everyone awaits the announcement, with not too many fans here, but I did catch up with them earlier. Here's what they had to say.
Disgusted. We've got 2 months left of a season. Leicester City are a club that are in no peril in the Premier League. They've got nowhere to go this season. They're not in danger of relegation. They're not going to qualify for any European places. This job could have been this deal could have been deen at the end of the season.
It's a bit of a shock, but you can understand the draw of the Premier League and the guy we're just speaking to. There's fabulous riches there, and the facilities there are unbelievable.
To go 3 months before the end of the treble, which would be incredible. Maybe the lure of the Premier League has just been too much for him to say no, but massive shock for Celtic fans.
I thought it'd have been maybe something would have happened at the end of the season, but not at this point through the season.
I blame Peter Lawwell as much as I blame MD at this club. Lawwell has been historically looked after the bank balance at this club rather than the future of this club. I mean, Rodgers has won, but he's won at Celtic Park, and this might sound a wee bit like sour grapes. He's only won what he should have won at this time in Scottish football, and it's there to be seen. He's taking this club back the way in Europe.
I think the lack of investment may have been the pivotal factor, but we may never know if that's the true reason or not.
He's not a Martin O'Neill. He's certainly not a Jock Stein. Gordon Strachan is above him in my eyes. Neil Lennon's above him in my eyes. Neil Lennon beat Barcelona there. Neil Lennon nearly won in the Nou Camp. He embarrassed us in Europe.
He goes down in history as the double treble, 7 domestic competitions unbeaten. The man is a legend in the eyes of Celtic fans and always will be.
And I think he's tarnished anything he's done at Celtic Park.
The treble is still on. Let's remind every Rangers supporter right now, the treble is still on.
Well, contrasting views. Gordon Smith, we're not surprised because we predicted it yesterday.
Yep.
What about you?
I think it's an amazing event, actually. It's a surprise to a degree, because we saw it coming, that's why you could predict it, but it's still a surprise as to why he's accepted this. Brendan Rodgers has got questions to answer. You know, he's leaving Celtic, he's obviously on the periphery of a, I would say, historical time for a manager to win 3 trebles in a row. Nobody's done it before, and he's going to a club which is sitting in 12th position in the English League. You know, you just say what Leicester done. They won the league recently, and they're never going to do it again. They did a one-off win. So where are Leicester going to go? You just wonder why, if he wanted to get back in England, is it because a manager should leave when he stocks at a highest point? That's when you've got the best chance of getting a job at a higher level, which it's English football is a higher level than the Scottish game. But in terms of looking at the two clubs, you wouldn't say Leicester are a higher level than Celtic. So that's why it's pretty fascinating, I think.
Well, let's cut to the chase, Roughie. I'll tell you why he's leaving. Money, ambition, wants to go somewhere where he'll get a budget that satisfies his needs. And quite simply, he had a fallout with the owner, with the chief executive. Didn't go according to plan for him. And as you can see by some of the Celtic fans, they weren't happy at the time. 10 in a row, not a project, back Rodgers or lose him. Well, quite simply, Brendan Rodgers decided, this is my get out.
Yeah, I think Gordon's touched on it briefly. I think there's a lot to come out in the wash here. It'll be interesting to see what two parties throw out there, as the reason for this split. You're right in what you're saying. All the Celtic supporters have been talking about trebles, 10 in a row. It obviously wasn't in Brendan Rodgers' ambition to achieve that because he's left. You know, I agree with you. I think that the money situation that went on behind the scenes was spoiling his CV. I think he came to Celtic thinking he was going to be joining a Champions League last 16 side, which they were when he came. But obviously the cutbacks and the players leaving and players coming in just didn't meet his expectations. And I think he obviously thinks that his CV is beginning to get damaged because English football don't rate our domestic level. It doesn't matter what he won, 4 trebles or whatever. He's judged against better sides, and I think his record isn't impressive at all.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Gordon. You know, the one thing I never believe is something that comes out of a manager's mouth at times, because it's certainly not gospel. You know, and Brendan at times was able to portray this loyalty to Celtic, but he's like anybody in a walk of life. If he thinks he's going to get better himself elsewhere, you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that. He's obviously had an ambition, as you said before, at the English level, because it's a higher level, but he's not picking one of the teams that are up there challenging at the highest level. I mean, Leicester City aren't going to be a big team. It's not a Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Spurs. So this is the big problem. He maybe doesn't have to achieve as much because Leicester City are happy just to remain in the Premiership.
Well, they've got a lot of money, Gordon, but I would suggest to you that Brendan Rodgers' stock is no longer a top 6 club, so this was the perfect opportunity.
Well, that's it. That's what I'm saying. And that's why his stock is at a high point because of what he's done at Celtic, but it's a high point to get back into the English Premiership, but not at one of the top clubs. He's been at Liverpool before. It didn't look like he was going to get a job like that again after what happened. So he's maybe looking at this and saying, if I can go to Leicester and do well, then I might be able to move on from there and go to a higher level. So I think that's what his ambition is. As I say, it did surprise me to the degree that he's actually decided to go to there instead of like seeing out the season, even just to say to Leicester City, put in an interim manager because you're not going to get relegated anyway, and I'll come at the end of the season.
Well, money talks. Here's what former Celtic captain Tom Boyd made of it all.
We'll be shocked and disappointed, because of the position that Brendan's finds himself in at this moment in time. It really happens that a manager leaves when they're sitting at the top of the league in these kind of circumstances. But the circumstances within Scottish football and the circumstances within the English Premiership are completely different, in terms of what you can achieve, where you can go. So, we'll see how it is. Listen, there's one constant that will be within this. Celtic Football Club will still be there. We will still have supporters. Whoever the next manager will be, rumours that it will be Lenny. Lenny's a legend at the football club, and hopefully it will be him that comes in and takes over.
Tom Boyd clearly thinks it's going to be Neil Lennon. Everybody else thinks it's going to be Neil Lennon. He's in talks at the moment with Celtic, and I would expect it's the one man that could maybe satisfy Celtic fans short term rather than being uproar.
Yeah, I think it was the Celtic fans that got Neil Lennon the job in the first place. So they insisted that he was the only candidate. They voiced him from the hilltops, and he got the job. And I don't think he did a bad job. And if you're looking for somebody to come in, steady the ship, he's the man. You know, the fans will get right behind him. There won't be any grumblings going about. They'll just be happy that they've got a Celtic man in.
I think so. I think he'll be the person that will get the job, in my opinion, because the fans will want it. You can see already Brendan Rodgers, even just with the short conversations you had with some of the fans there, some of them are very annoyed with him, and that's going to remain so.
OK, we've all had a say on this one. We'll talk about the new man. The king is dead. Long live the king. The next king looks like it's going to be someone familiar. It's Neil Lennon. We'll discuss that and more to come. Welcome to PLZ Soccer. Why not join the football family and download the PLZ app? You'll get all the latest Scottish football news and up-to-date news on English and world football. There's also a feature here where you can record yourself talking about your favourite team. If we use the video, you could feature on our football show. For all the latest news in Scottish football, download the PLZ Soccer app in the App Store and in Google Play. Come and join the football family on PLZ Soccer. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's football show. Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith are with me here in the studio. The big news, of course, Brendan Rodgers has agreed to take over at Leicester City in the English Premier League, and Celtic now set to confirm Neil Lennon as the interim manager. Let's look back with our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi over Rodgers' reign at Celtic.
So, Brendan Rodgers looks set to leave Celtic after just over 2.5 years in charge. Now, he's managed the Scottish champions for 169 games, more than he has been in charge at any other club in his career. He boasts a hugely impressive 70% win ratio, and he's only lost 26 games when he's been in charge. He won every single competition he entered in Scotland, which is 7 trophies. His side have won every domestic home game this season, and they're on course for the treble, but it looks like he's jumped ship before then. But Rodgers' time at Parkhead hasn't been flawless. He's had several shortcomings in Europe. In 3 campaigns, he has only won 2 away games in the competition proper and saw several beatings at Parkhead, albeit by some of Europe's super clubs. If he had stayed to deliver a treble at the end of the season, would he have gone down as one of Celtic's great managers? And how will he be viewed by the Celtic fans now?
Yeah, I wonder what his legacy will be now. Is it tarnished in your mind, Gordon Smith?
I think to a degree it'll be tarnished, yeah, because I just wonder whether if they go on and win the treble now again, whether he'll get the credit for it, or whether they'll say no, it was the new manager that came in that deserves the credit. But a lot of the Celtic fans already thought the league practically is over anyway, and they've just got the cup to play for now. But I think that it's tarnished to a degree, and they'll be annoyed. The Celtic fans will just be annoyed with him for walking out at this stage, there's no doubt. Yeah,
time is a great healer, Roughie, but I think when they look back over the next couple of months, when they look back on Brendan Rodgers, they'll be thankful for the double treble. They'll be thankful for the 69 games in the Invincibles period. But they'll be certainly looking back and thinking, well, listen, half the stuff, the warbling from you as a manager about your love for this or that in Celtic and being a Celtic fan doesn't cut it with us because of, what you did so close to the end of the season.
Yeah, I think you've hit it on the head there. That's what supporters are, not just Celtic supporters, but supporters will look at it that way. And it is a shame, that it's happened. The immediate reaction from the supporters would be, well, how can you wait 2 months? How can you see out the season? If you really, really love this club and you want to do this and you want to do that, stick with us, don't leave us. And there'll be a lot of sour grapes out there from a lot of supporters.
I'll tell you one thing, Gordon, and this is the critical analysis of it. Domestically, I think a number of people will look at the budget he had. He should be winning the league. He should be winning cups. My gripe with him was something that was consistent from the day that Roughie and I entered the Nou Camp Stadium and watched Barcelona dismantle them by 7, and it could have been so much more. he didn't get it in Europe. He quite simply was asking players to do things they were not capable of, and he dug his heels in when it was crying out for a more defensive approach to football.
I agree with you totally. I was going to make that point, that I think that a lot of people might turn around and say he didn't get the backing of the board of the players, but with that group of players, you're absolutely spot on that he could have played a different style of football and made it difficult for the opponents, as other teams do. Smaller clubs can actually do well in Europe because they've got that sort of mentality, that sort of system. He didn't do it. He went and played the way sometimes they were playing domestic games that were expected to win. They didn't have the quality of opposition against them. But you're absolutely right. They got some hammerings in Europe and totally outplayed at times when, if he set them up properly, the team could have done better, I think.
And let's not forget, Roughie, OK, Barcelona can do that to the best of them. PSG can hammer teams at the best of times. But, Rodgers still had a good quality side that should have been able to take AEK Athens. So I think, European football caught well short.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why he left. As I said earlier, I think English clubs would have judged him in his European record. I don't think they would have judged him in domestic football. A lot of people would say for 2.5 years he had no challenge whatsoever. With Rangers obviously where they were, and all of a sudden Rangers are now coming back. There is a challenge there. Kilmarnock are challenging Hearts and Hibs. So the next couple of years would be the time when to judge Brendan Rodgers domestically. But I just think that Gordon touched on it briefly. He wants to get back into the English Premiership, and the only way he's going to get another big club is to do well with Leicester, not with Celtic.
Yeah, well, I caught up with our journal from the Daily Mail, Hugh MacDonald, earlier on, and of course, Hugh didn't pull any punches on the manager's decision to leave and possibly the new man coming in.
What Brendan Rodgers has done here, if he'd went away in the summer, let's say after a treble, but even let's say it falling short after a treble, he'd went away with the good wishes of most Celtic fans who would have bowed to the reality that sometimes money talks and the EPL is a huge league. I think leaving now, though, will leave a sour taste on behalf of all Celtic fans. I think most of them will be querying, how much of a Celtic fan are you if you leave when there is a treble to be won, a league to be won. I think they'll look at it as well as a desertion, really. Neil Lennon is the best way forward. He'll come in, he knows the players, he's got a great understanding with Scott Brown, who at this moment in time will be hugely, he always is influential, but he'll be hugely influential at this time to steady the boat. John Kennedy's still there, so he'll have the Rodgers playbook there, how they train, how they set up, and he can interact with Neil Lennon on that, because he'll be very privy to what has gone on in terms of training times, etc. under Brendan Rodgers. And interestingly, we've got Damien Duff coming quickly up, getting punted up fairly quickly on it. But it is a hugely difficult situation. The timing's frankly awful, but I think this is the most pragmatic and best way forward.
Gordon, I've never known a year like it in football. The season has been incredible. We have had everything in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. You just wonder what more is there to come as well, because there's still another 3 months to go, and it's
who hasn't been hammered yet? Because they're coming next.
Absolutely, but it is incredible. I think that, as I say, it's made it very instant. It's not just, there's been a lot of good stuff on the park as well, but most of the stories have been off the park this year, and things we've had to discuss afterwards in terms of all the different things that have happened, regarding managers and regarding players and supporters, everything, referees mainly. But as I say, I think that, what Hugh said there is that I think Neil Lennon will be brought in. I actually think, to be honest with you, I feel there's two candidates really. There's Neil Lennon and there's Steve Clarke. Yeah. Steve Clarke more is an outsider, right? Now, if Neil Lennon just gets the interim job, then I think Steve Clarke must be in the running. But I think Neil Lennon will get the job full time because he's much more experienced in terms of what's required at that level. He's had the experience. He's been a player there and he's managed the club. He's done well at Hibs and he's available, and I think that he's probably going to get the job on a full-time basis.
Okay, interesting stuff there. And just in case you think it's just a common man who's upset at Brendan Rodgers deciding to leave, there are famous Celtic supporters who are equally miffed at this. I think it's ruined Rod Stewart's holiday. There he is. This is the tweet. I would have thought he would see out the next 2.5 months to get us the treble. I think there might be a lot of ill feeling now with the fans as he's left us in the lurch. But I also understand the point that this job came up and he's got to take it. But what about the Chelsea job? That could have come up too. We can make history. I keep saying that. We can make history. I just feel this will cause a lot of unhappiness with the Celtic supporters. Hopefully Scott Brown will step up now and take command. I've heard Neil Lennon's coming back, which is great, but that's only temporary. So there, even Rod's had something to say about that. I think he actually mentioned that this is like leaving in the middle of a tour. Yeah. So with that in mind, we've got to concentrate on the football. Who knows, maybe Neil Lennon will suddenly trap in the dugout at Celtic at Tynecastle on Wednesday evening. So here's how the fixtures look for Wednesday. Tynecastle will be rocking Hearts against Celtic. There's Aberdeen, Hamilton, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Rangers, Dundee and St Johnstone, Hibs. Just a footnote to all this, Gordon. If there's not a quick move for stability, is there a chance for Rangers to capitalise on what's happening at Celtic?
It could be a possibility. They might see it that way because they've had a couple of good results, a couple of big wins, and they might think you just need Celtic maybe to drop some points with all this change going on. What happens? But normally what happens when another manager comes in, the team actually does better during that spell, even if it's a caretaker or a new manager, because the players want to perform. So I can't see Celtic going back all the way.
You wouldn't bet against him taking his place in the dugout, Tynecastle, and then, of course, Roughie, Easter Road in the Cup.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be a perfect time for him at Tynecastle, to get the fans up on their feet and getting the players in the dressing room buzzing as well.
Well, there you have it. Never a dull moment in Scottish football. The Brendan Rodgers reign at Celtic is over. You can give us your view on social media, your thoughts on Rodgers' departure to Leicester City. Is he joining a bigger club, or is it just the bigger league, the bigger money? That's the lure. On YouTube, on Facebook and Twitter, we would love to hear from you. Well, it looks as if what we mentioned at the start of the programme is indeed the key to this. The king is dead. Long live the king. Neil Lennon, is he the man to deliver the treble? Thanks to Gordon and Roughie. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.